Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. I thought I would finally get around to recording my Q&A. So thank you to all of the people that left a question for me. I'll hopefully get through all of them. Obviously, I don't want the video to be so long that you're bored of listening to me talk. But I've had quite a few new subscribers recently. So if you're new around here, my name is Donna. I'm married. I'm a mum of two boys, Archie and Henry, who are 8 and 12. And we live in the UK. And my husband works full time, and technically I'm medically retired, because if you're new and you don't know, I've got secondary breast cancer. So I was working part-time as a teaching assistant, but it just got a bit too much being at work full-time and looking after the kids and having treatment every 3 weeks. So something had to give, and the part-time job was the least important of all of those things. So obviously I'll have to have my treatment, and I want to be feeling well and have time to spend with my family. So my job went, and so I'm technically medically retired, although, you know, kind of just sort of stay at home mum, I suppose. I do all of the householdy bits and shopping, and YouTube is just kind of like a bit of a hobby on the side that I upload, and it's normally foodie content. I do meals of the week videos, grocery shops, things like that. But occasionally I do these kind of random spin-off kind of videos, or maybe some like budget saving some money tips, or some meal planning on a budget, or like Q&As, stuff like that. So I thought I would share a Q&A for you, just so you can get to know me a little bit better. And yeah, so thank you for all of your questions. The first question was, do I find that YouTube influences the food I buy and the meals that I cook, and is it tricky finding a balance of kind of what we want to eat and what is kind of enjoyable for people to watch? And the honest answer is, I think to start with, I probably did try to come up with some kind of more interesting meals that we hadn't had before, to kind of show different options and interest people. But now it's I've been doing it for quite a few years. It's kind of come a bit of the norm, really, to think of new recipes, not only for YouTube, but because it gets very boring eating the same thing all the time. And I think it can be difficult to think of new ideas. So hopefully my Meals of the Week video gives people some new ideas. And although obviously I don't work anymore, so maybe I have a little bit more time than other people that work full time, most of the meals that I cook, because we do have after school clubs and swimming lessons and homework to do and all the rest of it, most of my meals are quite quick and easy, and not too expensive. If you've been watching a while, you'll know that I am trying to kind of buy more whole foods, less processed, and eat a bit healthier for all of our health, really, not just me. I've read a lot about sort of cancer and nutrition, so I do try to avoid certain things, and like I don't really drink much alcohol anymore. I only have the odd glass if if it's a birthday or Christmas or holiday or whatever, but I don't drink at home. And for the boys, I think it's really important to learn some kitchen skills, and for children to kind of try new foods. And people comment and say the kids eat really well. My boys do eat really well, but they've never really had much of a choice, because I've always just cooked from scratch, really. Even when they were babies, I cooked everything, normal dinners, and just pureed it, like roast dinners and spaghetti bologneses and stuff like that. So they do eat really well. And it's kind of, I with the exception of the odd thing, like Henry doesn't really like salmon, so he might have like fish fingers if we have fish, but he just kind of eats, they eat what we eat. I cook one dinner and they eat it or they don't, kind of thing. So yes and no, really. It probably did influence at the beginning, but now I kind of cook what we want to eat, and hopefully you find it interesting. The next question was, why did we move house, and do we have any house plans? We stayed in the same area. We just moved to a slightly bigger house so that the boys have got their own bedrooms, and we've got a spare room for people to come and stay. And we've just got a bit more room. and when we moved in, we did decorate the lounge and the dining room and the boys' bedrooms we painted. And we've bought some like new furniture. Me and Jan's got a new bed recently. It's one of those really posh, you know, like the Eve mattresses. It's a delight. So we've done bits and bobs like that, but we don't have any major plans for renovations or anything like that. So we're quite happy where we are. It's a really nice area. The kids didn't have to like change like schools and stuff because we're just down the road. So yeah, it worked really well, and we like it around here. It's a really nice area. There's lots of green spaces and parks, and it's quite quiet where we live. There's not a lot of traffic, so the boys can kind of go out on their bikes and stuff, and you don't have to worry about being a busy road and all the rest of it. So yeah, no major plans. But yeah, we really like it here. The next question was, do I set a strict food budget? And if you saw last month's videos, you will know that I absolutely blew the budget. And it's actually been quite irritating because doing that 2 weekly shop, which didn't last, actually threw me off for the rest of the month because I was trying not to overspend, but then we just kept running out of things every 5 minutes. So I kept having to get like milk and bread and squash and fruit, and so God knows how much I spent last month. But normally our food budget, we try to stick to £450 a month, and that is £100 for the food and £50 a month for cleaning and toiletries is what we try to stick to. And obviously that's getting increasingly more difficult because food is going up and up and up. And the only food that seems to be, you know, super cheap is all of the ultra processed rubbish, which I'm not willing to buy and eat, to be honest. So the boys being older now, they eat nearly as much as me. So it's kind of 4 decent sized portions. And what I buy does do breakfasts and packed lunches for the boys and sometimes Janice. He sometimes gets lunch at work and sometimes takes lunch. And obviously I'm here all day. Sorry about Duke barking in the background. If there's no TV or music on, he can hear every noise that goes past the window, and he barks at absolutely everything. So apologies for that if he keeps chirping in the background. But yeah, so it might have to go up slightly if we can't get, but I am trying to be kind of savvy with buying, you know, things are more expensive if they're convenient. So like I don't buy like pre-prepared veg and fruit and lots of pre-packaged snacks and stuff. I try to get like the bigger bags and like put them into pots, or like chop my own like fruit and whatnot, and kind of buy cheaper cuts of meat if I can and stuff like that. But so it's still all like relatively healthy. So yes, we do have a budget of 450, but occasionally obviously I do go over. Actually, do you get those months sometimes where you just feel like you need everything? Like you need all of your cleaning stuff, you need all of your toiletries, you need like oil and ketchup and salt and pepper and all of those things that you normally just have in the cupboard. Some months you just need all of that and it kind of goes a little bit awry, but normally we try to stick to £450. The next question, talking of Duke chirping in the background, was how did Duke get his name? And to be honest, I'm not really entirely sure how we settled on Duke. We nearly called him Dobby because I am a huge Harry Potter fan. I've read all the books, I've got all the movies, I've seen the theatre show. I can't tell you how many times actually I've read the books and seen the films. We've been to Harry Potter World. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So he was very nearly Dobby. The boys weren't very keen on Dobby, and we kind of were going for like a bit of a name beginning with D. Because he's quite small, but he's got a very big personality, we thought Duke was quite a funny name because, you know, it has connotations of being, you know, really royal and like grand, and he's dinky. So yeah, we kind of just settled on Duke, but he doesn't very often get called Duke. He normally gets called Baby Dog, Dukey Boy, DB, doggo, all sorts of things. So he answers to most things. Or actually, no, he doesn't really answer to anything. He responds to food, is what he responds to. So it was a bit of a kind of just, it just sort of came up and we all sort of agreed on it, really. But it's funny, isn't it? Once you've called them something, you can't, we could never change his name. He's obviously he suits that name now. So yeah, he is the Duke and he does think he rules the house. Very barky, very stubborn. So yeah, that's how he ended up being Duke. Very nearly a Dobby, but he ended up being Duke. The next one was a cancer update. A couple of people wanted to know how I'm getting on sort of health-wise and with cancer. So if you don't know, I had my primary cancer in 2018 and then I had surgery and chemo and they sent me on my way on kind of hormone treatment, estrogen blocker, that kind of thing. And then I got really bad abdominal pain in 2021, excruciatingly bad pain. And it turned out when I went, they run some blood tests because I thought maybe I had I thought maybe I was celiac or IBS or something. I thought it was digestive. And whether or not that was a kind of, please God, don't let it be cancer again, kind of reaction of just convincing myself it was something else, or whether it was because it was never really mentioned to me at the hospital that there was a good high risk of getting secondary cancer. I don't know. But anyway, they run some blood tests and my liver markers were through the roof. So when they did all of this body scans and the bone scans, they found out that it had spread to my liver and my bones. And then it later on spread to my brain as well. So I had cyberknife on my brain. But the update is I'm on my 4th line of treatment now, which is an oral chemotherapy and I don't really know what it comes under, but another tablet that kind of targets the DNA. So I take those at home. I go to the hospital every 3 weeks for an injection. And so far, touch wood, I always feel like I'm going to jinx myself when I say this. So who knows? I'm not going to count my chickens, but I've been on nearly a year and it is keeping everything stable. So my last lot of scans were stable, with the exception of some suspicious, they say, areas on my spine, which I have had an MRI for, but I haven't had the results yet. They don't know whether that is things on the move or the previous tumours that were there healing themselves, because basically the scan only shows things that are active because they give you a sugar or radioactive tracer. So they're not sure whether that's old disease that's healing or new, but I haven't had, touch wood again, any symptoms of anything spine related, so they don't think it's anything to worry about. And my brain was clear, so I've got my driving license back, so everything is going as well as it can be. Obviously it is not an ideal situation at 30, very nearly 39, but I've been doing this now since I was 31. So it's not an ideal situation, but I do try to look at it as a bit more of a chronic condition where, people with diabetes have to have insulin and people with other illnesses have long-term medication. I try to look at it as a chronic illness that I just need to have treatment for, rather than a terminal illness, because I don't think that's good for anybody's mental health to kind of doom spiral. What will be will be, and I don't want to waste any time being miserable and worrying and panicking, because I think that kind of makes things worse. I think the best thing you can do is look after yourself and eat as well as you can and be as healthy as you can and enjoy life, and just keep everything crossed that things will be fine. So far, touch wood, this clearly isn't wood, this is leather, but I'm imagining I'm touching wood, to everything's staying fine for as long as possible. I would really, really like to get a very long time out of these drugs, but my track record shows that I don't typically stay on them for long, but there's got to be one out there that is the one for me. So keep all of your fingers crossed that this is the one. And that question came from Kelly, who runs Chemo Ward. And can I just say, Kelly, that you all do an absolutely fantastic job. It must be a really, really hard job to do physically and mentally. And at my hospital, all of the nurses and doctors and stuff are absolutely fantastic. So yeah, you do a fab job. So thank you for that, and thank you for your question. The next one was about me and Yanis. How did we meet? How long have we been together? And how long have we been married? And it's quite a funny thing that we're both from Essex originally, but we actually met in Tenerife. Yanis was on holiday with some of his work friends, and I was on holiday with my cousin. And it was our last night of the holiday and Yanis's first night of the holiday, and we just got chatting in the bar. I think I actually took the mick out of him for drinking martini, not as in James Bond shaken not stirred, as in like martini liqueur with like lemonade or something. So we had a bit of a chat and a bit of banter and kind of swapped numbers. And then when we got back to the UK, that was in September. When we got back to the UK, we kind of chatted for a bit and we met up around Christmas time, and we got together pretty much straight away. That was in 2008. And then we actually were only together for 1 year, and then Yanis proposed to me, and then we planned the wedding in 8 months and got married in the following August in 2010. So we've been married for 15 years this August. I can't believe how quickly 15 years has gone. And I am really getting my money's worth out of him with this whole in sickness and in health business, because obviously I was only 30. We had Archie when I was 26, had Henry when I was 30, and then I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 31. So Henry was only Diddy. So yeah, I've really got my money's worth out of Yanis for all of the in sickness part of the wedding vows. But yeah, I think he's an absolute rock, and we are, it sounds a bit corny, but we are like best mates. We get on really well, we still have a laugh, and don't take things too seriously, and don't sweat the small stuff. We're both pretty chilled, and yeah, so we've been married 15 years in August and together kind of 17-ish years. So and I think it's true what they say, if you know, you know, because when we got engaged after a year, I think people thought we were a bit crazy, and then when we said we were getting married the following summer, you know, people thought that was a bit quick. But we, you know, 15 years and we are still very, very happy. So yeah, blessed to have Yanis and the boys. So that is how we met and how long we've been together. And the last question was about holidays, and it's, are you holidaying this year? And yes, we are. We are going. We went last year and we're going back to the Isle of Wight this summer. I absolutely love the Isle of Wight, and we went to Gran Canaria a few years ago and it was too hot, and the boys, although as much as they do like beaches and swimming pools and stuff like that, they are very much more of a like doing activities and that kind of thing. So when we went to the Isle of Wight, we stayed at an away resort, and they had stuff on the camp like the park and the arcade and pool tables and kayaking and archery and all of those kind of things that you could do. But we mainly spent most days out and about in the Isle of Wight, because although it is a tiny island, there is a lot to do. And so we're going back this year, and we've actually planned stuff to do every single day that we're there, that we didn't do last time. so there's loads of things to do, with the exception of Yanis and Archie are going clay pigeon shooting again, because they love that. So they're doing that again. Henry's not old enough, unfortunately, and don't let me anywhere near an air rifle. So we're not doing that. We're going to a farm while they're doing clay pigeon shooting, and then they're going to join us. But yeah, we're Isle of Wighting again. And I hope we get really decent weather. And it's funny because even just getting the ferry, from Portsmouth across, it feels like you've gone a lot further than just like an hour or so away. So yeah, it's really, really nice. And we've booked a nice like lodge on the park that's like a lakeside lodge. So yeah, we are going there, and we tend to have like action-packed days and then chill out in the evening. So we will, obviously get some dinner and bits and bobs, but we'll take some games with us. And I think there's like a board game cafe there that the boys want to go to one evening and get some pizza and play some board games. And like I say, they've got arcades and pool tables and bits and bobs. So they're not really into the whole, like they have like the clubhouse with the kids' discos and stuff. They're a bit old for that now. They're not really, well, Archie definitely is. He finds it very cringy. So yeah, we won't be doing that. But yeah, we're going to the Isle of Wight. And then next year, I'm 40 next year. And we are hoping to go to Rome for probably a 5-night city break kind of thing. And Henry's very excited. He learned all about the Colosseum and stuff like that in school, so he's very excited to go and see the sights. So yeah, we'll probably do that next year. But we do like a UK holiday, actually. Scotland was a couple of years ago, was one of our favourite holidays, because we do like going for like walks and sightseeing and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's it. So thank you very much for all of your questions. I hope you have enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more. Like I say, I normally do foodie content, and the vegetarian recipes will be coming very soon. I just needed to wait until, because I'd messed up this month's food budget, waiting until next month to plan in some meals, and I will video those in due course. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider hitting the button. And it doesn't cost you anything. It will just really help my channel out, and you'll get notified if I upload any videos. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks as always for all of your comments and your well wishes, and I will see you all really soon in another video. Take care, guys. Bye.